we're doing math with RHB, and we're going to talk about something that will increase your knowledge of math. You may wonder why these are included in some of your math curriculums, and this is to do with increasing your knowledge and workability with math. And workability just means you should be able to look at certain things and be able to do the skill quickly without getting bogged down by the actual equations. Right? This is where your basic fund of knowledge comes in. This also gives you more experience with numbers, how they relate to each other and how they fit. Will they divide into each other or not? And it helps you in later math being able to connect things more quickly. All right? These are all preparing you for excuse me, more difficult math. So we're actually going to do something called, I don't know if it's available on the screen here. We're actually doing a section here called Factors and Multiples, and we're going to start with something called Rules of Divisibility. And this is lesson 17. I'm going to use the overhead. It doesn't really matter if you can see me as long as you can see the math, and you'll be able to hear me over top of that and probably see me occasionally. All right, we're going to start looking at rules of divisibility. This has to do with not doing the actual equation as subtract, multiply, and divide of the whole numbers that are given to you. This is a way to look at a number and decide whether other numbers will divide into it evenly and whether you can use it in your mathematics. So I'm going to back up a little bit, use the overhead. It's a little bright. Okay. This is a whole chart on rules of divisibility. All right, so we're looking at numbers that will be divisible by 2, 3, 4, 5. We skip over 7 and 8. And then we get to 6, we have 10. The number 1 isn't on the chart because other than 0, number 1 will divide into any number evenly. So that's not a problem. Coming to number 2, all we have to do to know whether a number is divisible by 2, and this does not matter how large the number is. We're talking whole numbers here. If it ends in 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8, your number is a whole number, or sorry, is a even number. So, can 526 be divided by 2? You don't have to do the actual division. You should know. So if you have $526 and you're going to split it between yourself and a friend, if you've done some work for someone or whatever, right, you already know that it will divide evenly. So each of you will get a portion. So you're looking at this example way down here. And then you look at 298,760, 760,341. All right, so is it even? Yes or no? Looking at the very last number, the last number is a 1, therefore it's not even. It's not going to work. So it's a no. We'll take a look at some of the other rules. Number 3, if the sum of the digits, all right, this is where we did some word problems and we talked about some of the language that's involved in word problems. As soon as you see that word sum, you're going to be adding something. So if the sum of the digits of the number is divisible by 3, so here's our example, 534, is it divisible by 3? Yes, because you can add 5 plus 3 is 8 plus 4 is 12. Can you put 3 into 12 evenly? Yes. If that can happen, right, then you already know that this number is divisible by 3. You don't have to do the actual division. 4, if the last 2 digits of the number are divisible by 4. So again, it doesn't matter how long the number is. Look at the last 2 digits. Can you divide 4 into that number? 728. Well, don't even worry about the 7. All we want is the last 2 digits. Will 4 divide evenly into 28? Yes, it will. So therefore, 4 into 28, and it'll go 7 times, so therefore 4 will divide evenly into this whole number. 5 is the obvious and easy one. Does your number end in a 5 or a 0? If it does, 5 will definitely divide into it. So 685 can be divided by 5 because it ends in a 5. If it was 680, all right, it still would be yes, because 5 would end in a 0 there, so it'll go into a 5 or a 0 evenly. and the number ends in either 5 or 0. All right. 6, if the number is even and the sum of the digits is divisible by 3. So there's two things to look at. Now the number 6 is not something you're going to be asked very often. It's okay to know, but all right, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 10 are your more common. But there is a formula that works with 6 as well. The reason there's no 7 or 8 is there's no formula that works quite perfectly, so that's why they're not here. 6. All right, if the number's even, 732, is it even? Yes, it is. Can you add up the digits? And they're divisible by 3. So 7 plus 3 is 10, plus 2 again is 12. 3 will go into 12 evenly. Therefore, 6 will divide evenly into 732. If the last digit for 10, the last digit is 0. That one's another obvious one. Can 9,870 be divided by 10? Yeah. 0 here, 0 there. So we're going to take a look at a few questions. These are ones where you shouldn't actually do the math. All you're doing is trying to decide whether it's divisible by a certain number. And I'm way over. Let's try this. That's better. So is 327 divisible by 3? Alright, so here's the sum of the digits. 3 plus 2 is 5, plus 7 is 12. 3 will go into 12 evenly, so your answer is going to be yes. 4,950, is it divisible by 5? Ends in a 0, so it's a yes. 31,324, is it divisible by 4? Add the last two digits, look at the last two digits, and if that's divisible by 4, so is 24 divisible by 4? Yes, it is. Therefore, it's a yes. 31,324, is it divisible by 6? Is the number even? Yes, it's an even number. If I add up the digits, can I divide it by 3? 3 plus 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7, and 2 is 9, and 4 is 13. Will 3 go evenly into 13? No. So therefore, this one's a no. Move this up a little bit. Which number can be divided evenly? By 2. Well, this one ends in a 3, so it's not going to help you very much because it's an odd number. So this one's the only even one, so it's got to be this one. Which number will be divided evenly by 10? Well, neither one of these end in a 0. So your answer is neither. Six. All right, 78 or 447. Well, 447 is an odd number, so that's not going to help us. So for rules of divisibility, we've got to look at the other number. So 7 plus 8 is 15. Will 3 go evenly into 15? Yes. So 78 is our number. 5. By 5. 553 or 225? Well, this one ends in a 3, so it can't help us. So it's got to be this one. 225. Whoops. 225. Whole thing's moving. So the more knowledge you have about numbers and how they work, right, the easier math will get for you. There's only one way to do that, and that is to actually do the work and practice it. It's a real drag for some things, and some people are real naturals at math. I tended to be not a real natural at math, right? I had to learn the hard way, and that sometimes just takes effort, and that's all there is. So working at some of this will help you, and it'll also increase your knowledge generally and give you a skill base that is easier and makes it easier to understand what comes along next in math, because you'll have a base for knowledge of learning, and then you can increase that. Stick with it. Math is difficult.